Chapter 2, Making Decisions. Here are two more examples of futuristic thinking. Here are the learning objectives of today. Describe the 8 steps in the decision-making process. Develop your skills at being creative. Explain the 4 ways managers make decisions. Classify decisions in decision-making conditions. Describe different decision-making styles and discuss how biases affect decision-making. Know how to recognize when you're using decision-making errors and biases and what to do about it. And identify effective decision-making techniques. Managers at all levels and in all areas of organizations make decisions. That is, they make choices. Although decision-making is typically described as choosing among alternatives, this view is too simplistic. Why? Because decision-making is a process, not just a simple act of choosing among alternatives. Why do you think it's important to make decisions through a process? This is a classical decision-making process. You must first identify a problem and then create criteria that you think is important for any solution. Now, all factors are as important as others, so you need to weigh the important factors to ensure that your most important needs are met and other needs could be met with a lower quality solution. The concept of making a decision is that there are comparable goods. Seldom will there be only one choice. In these cases of only one choice, the solution tend not to be as good because there's no purchasing choices. When evaluating alternatives, you need to use the criteria that you previously developed. It is critical that these criteria are developed prior to selecting alternatives. In other words, you should create criteria based on need, not features of the products. If you realize that you missed a criteria, you should go back and rethink the alternatives to include the missing feature. Once you have selected and implemented the solution, you should then evaluate whether you made the right decision. Although everyone in an organization makes decisions, decision-making is particularly important to managers. It's part of all 4 managerial functions. In fact, that's why we say that decision-making is the essence of management. And that's why managers, when they plan, organize, lead, and control, are making decisions. What are some of the challenges when managing different generations and cultures? Do we need to motivate different generations differently, or can we use the same approach? What are some of the opportunities and challenges when managing a diverse workforce? An intuition decision is when you make a decision based on your experience, feelings, and accumulated judgment. An experience-based decision is when a manager makes a decision based on previous experiences. An affect-initiated decision is when a manager makes decisions based on emotions. A cognitive-based decision is when a manager makes a decision based on skills, knowledge, and training. A subconscious mode processing decision is when managers use data from their subconscious mind to help them make decisions. In other words, a person cannot explain why the decision is correct, but is making a gut decision. A value or ethical-based decision is when a manager makes a decision based on their or their company's ethical values. What is intuitive decision making? It's making decisions on the basis of experience, feelings, and accumulated judgments. Researchers studying managers' use of intuition decision-making have identified 5 different aspects of intuition. A procedure is a series of steps that a manager will use to respond to a structured problem. The only difficulty is identifying the problem. Once they know the problem, they just have to follow the procedure to solve the problem. A rule is an explicit statement that tells a manager what can or cannot be done. Rules are frequently used because they're simple to follow and ensure consistency. The third type of program decision is a policy, a broad guideline for making a decision. Exhibit 2.7 describes the difference between program and non-program decisions. Lower-level managers mostly rely on program decisions because they confront familiar and repetitive problems and tasks. As managers move up the organization, the problem they confront become much more unstructured and much more complex. Exhibit 2.12 provides an overview of managerial decision-making. Decision-making is much more complex than what most people think. Typically, decisions are made without thoroughly thinking through the alternatives and consequences. Decision-making is much more complex than most people think. Typically, decisions are made without thoroughly thinking through the alternatives and consequences. Therefore, it is critical that you use a thorough process when making decisions. Let's take a look at the possible biases when making a decision. Each of us will have our own biases when making a decision. What is critical is that you understand your biases and minimize the negative impact that these biases will have on the decision. The way managers approach decision-making, using a rational and analytical mindset in identifying a problem, coming up with the alternatives, evaluating alternatives, and choosing among those alternatives may not be the best and certainly not the only choice in today's environment. That's where design thinking comes in. Design thinking has been described as approaching management problems as designers approach design problems. A Korean car maker decided to take the design thinking approach in testing the durability and quality of one of their cars. They hope that the lessons learned from the excessive wear and tear by these animals would allow them to take the information they learn and use it for future car making. We will now go offline and do the in-class assignment. Here's the optional homework assignment that would help you to prepare for the final exam for this course.